All right, there we are. Now we're online. Yay.
Huzzah.
So, hello, everybody. I have a special guest with me. I have Snake Logan. So, if you want to introduce yourself and tell people about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Yeah, I actually I'm on the Hoaxted research blog as El Coyote. I'm the person who does most of the writing for that blog. Um, and yeah, I've been doing that for about 3 years now. I didn't start the blog. That was started by someone called Scarlet Scoop, but she basically had other obligations that she had to attend to, and so I took over the writing from her in August of 2015. And on that blog, we basically work to debunk the Hampstead satanic ritual abuse hoax, which started in London, in oddly enough a community called Hampstead. And I don't know how much detail you want to get into on that. I know you've spoken to a couple of people about it recently, so the basics of it are a mother and boyfriend, and a couple of sort of sidekicks called McKenzie friends. And there's more on that later if you want. But they basically um, concocted a hoax in which they took the mother's two children off to Morocco for a month, beat the living crap out of them until they could recite the details of that they wanted them to, about, well, they didn't actually call it satanic. They just called it, the kids called it a culture because they couldn't remember the word cult,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But they talked about being sexually abused, being um, forced to take part in rituals involving killing babies, um, and they came back to the parents, or the mother and boyfriend took videos while this was happening, and basically of the kids saying this happened and that happened. You can hear the mother and her boyfriend coaching them on the videos. It's really, really obvious. However, when those videos went up online, um, a lot of people believed that they were true representations of children who had been sexually abused by a satanic cult. Um, there's way, way more to the story than that, but that's the basic outline.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Well, no, I appreciate that because I think, like, I went into that discussion with that guy from Through the Black on Thursday, but I didn't really prep my viewers on what we were gonna be talking about, and I realized afterwards there are a lot of people who are like, there's just so much information there. It's really hard to kind of understand it and then figure it all out when people are talking, and
yeah,
so I really felt bad that I didn't prep people to kind of give them an insight into it, because also it happened in the UK. So a lot of people in America aren't familiar with it, aren't aware of it. So
sure.
it's, you hear two people talking about it and you're kind of like, okay, what exactly
What are
is
we
going on?
talking about?
So I'm
Yeah,
glad you kind of encapsulated it that well, because you're more familiar with this story than I am.
yeah, yeah. No, it made perfect sense to me, but then of course it would. Um,
Right. Because you're familiar with it. Yeah.
because I'm familiar with it. Um, yeah, it's the basics of it were that the mother and her boyfriend were attempting to set up the father of the two children. He had recently, right before they went off to Morocco, he had decided to apply to have the children have more access to the children, and the mother had they'd been through years and years of, the sort of malicious court thing where one parent wants to see the kids and the other parent doesn't want them to, and the
Right.
kids are used
Turns
as
into a real ugly,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and the kids are used as kind of a weapon in this horrible war between parents.
Yep.
This is basically what was happening. The mother would be given a court order to say you have to let the father see the children, and she would say no way and find some way to thwart it, or she would just avoid taking kids to see him or whatever it happened to be for years. That went on and on and on. And that's actually outlined in the judgment on the case. The case eventually, it started off in regular family court in December. I should say that there was also a police investigation, but that again, people say that, the people who try to promote the hoax say that the mother and the boyfriend took the information to the police at the time. In fact, what happened was that they went to see the boyfriend's brother-in-law, who was a special constable. And a special constable is not an actual police officer. It's a voluntary position, and you get to help with house-to-house searches and, sort of help the police do patrols and that sort of thing. But it's really not, you're not a police officer. You're doing it on a voluntary basis. And I think that they were trying to do that so that they could claim that they had ticked the box of, we've taken this case to the police, and now we're going to take it online. But what happened was that the brother-in-law, who was no dummy, called the police because he was very, very worried about what he was hearing from the children. The children were exhausted. They were bruised. They looked terrible. They were emaciated after spending a month in being beaten and threatened by this pair. And so he took the case to the police, and the police came and banged on the door of the mother and boyfriend the next day. Mm-hmm. They were not expecting this. They were expecting to take it to family court, where they would then sort of show this as like their ultimate weapon. He can never see the children again, blah, blah, blah. They weren't expecting a police investigation. However, they got one whether they wanted one or not. The children were interviewed several times. They were sort of seen by a doctor. The mother interviewed the doctor after her first exam of the children, when she didn't actually find anything, and then basically said, I need to look again, which made no sense because she'd already done the exam. However, she used basically, I don't know if you're familiar with the reflex anal dilatation test. Apparently it was used to out gay men in the army. You lie on your side and they poke you in the anus, basically touch it. And if it retracts and kind of opens a little bit, then they say that's evidence that you are gay.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
It's one of the signs and wonders.
How scientific.
Yeah, seriously. It's been debunked. And this same doctor had been in trouble for using it in another case, where she'd similarly said that children had been sexually abused. Now, the interesting thing was that she found RAD in one of the children, but not the other. But she said in her court evidence that this was enough evidence to her that it could be consistent with the children's stories that they were being raped. And so that was picked up on, of course. It's one of the selective reading things that happens, cherry picking. So there were a whole bunch of other pieces like this, and it gets very, very detailed and intricate and kind of boring if you're not really if you're not really into it. But basically, the deal was that the police did this investigation. The doctor did her thing. Once the children confessed to the police that Abe had been hitting them, the boyfriend had been hitting them, the police were able to take them into police custody and put them in foster care for a little while. When they were in foster care, the police came to pick them up for an interview. And on the way to the interview, the children were saying, "We have something important to tell you. We made it all up. Abe made us say it. We didn't want to. because they'd been saying that their father was the leader of this cult and so forth. And the police said, no, you have to wait until we get to the station. They get to the station where the cameras are set up in the interview room. They start talking to the kids. They talk to the children one at a time. They don't interview them together. They talk to the little girl, and she says, we made it all up. I felt terrible. I was really worried that, because, he was basically beating us and he was telling me.
Yeah, he was very abusive.
Yeah, he was incredibly abusive. Just some of the stuff that happened is just horrible. And the little boy he's younger. He's a year younger. He was a little bit less forthcoming at first. He was kind of like, well, not too many babies, which is true. I mean, but the thing is, if anyone who's had kids, if you catch a child in a lie and you say, so-and-so child, did you eat the chocolate cake? Right. They will look at you with their face covered in chocolate and go, no.
Right.
And you,
right.
Okay.
Or like the kid in the interview was doing, he would be like, well, not too much. It was a little bit of that, but not too much.
I just had a little bit of it. I didn't eat the whole thing, just part of it.
Exactly. I only ate half the chocolate. I didn't eat all of it.
Yeah, exactly. And kids do that. I used to do that when I was a little kid. I mean, I recognized it immediately. It was like, oh yeah, that's the careful backing away from the question tactic.
Exactly. Because you did something wrong, but you don't want to you don't exactly want to say that, yeah, you're wrong and you're going to get punished. So you sort of say, yeah, but it wasn't as bad as you think it was,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is that the poor kid, he knew, I mean, they'd only been away from Abe and Della for a week. They felt, I guess the little girl felt safe enough to tell right away. The little boy was a little bit more hesitant, and the people who believe in the hoax have picked up on that and run with it. Mm-hmm. They believe that means that he was being, I believe they say the police officer was sending him satanic hand signals.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know any satanic hand signals? I don't.
The only one I know is this one. Apparently, this is like white power, and it's 666, and I'm sure it probably means a whole bunch of other stuff. But if you see people doing this, or if they have a triangle, apparently that has great, deep meaning.
I think that was all made up on 4chan.
Well, the triangle thing has been around since what? What's his name? Ike. I can't even pronounce his name.
David Icke?
Yeah, David Icke. Yeah, I think he was one of the big ones who perpetuated Illuminati back in the late 90s or early 90s.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a while. He's made quite an industry of it. Yeah.
Carrie in the chat says jazz hands, so apparently this is satanic too. So if you get jazz hands with an OK symbol, back off, because that's some serious, dark, deep stuff right there.
That's some serious satanic shit there, man. Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, that's basically how it started. Then it went to family. The case was dismissed, obviously, because it basically was the police had done some investigation. They'd gone to the church and seen that none of the things were the way the kids said they had been. Then they took the case to the family court, which is where it was intended to have gone in the first place. And the family court basically went, pardon? But the police have already dismissed this. So it went through family court, and then it went up a step. Now, I don't know how, I've become I'm from Canada, but I've become more of an expert in the UK system, and I actually have no idea how the US system works. But when you bump it upstairs to a different court, for us it would be family court, and then it would go to the high court. So I think Superior, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how it goes either, but I mean, our legal system is very similar to the UK system,
Yeah,
but
it's based on the same ideas for sure.
right.
Yeah,
But
but
I know we have like okay, you have like civil court, then you have maybe family court, then you have various types of court, and then you have state courts, and then you have like
yeah,
the Supreme Court is the top. It's like whoever the Supreme Court makes big decisions like on the Constitution and other
yeah,
rights like gay marriage and abortion
sure.
and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, no, in the UK it's all, there are no states or anything, so it's all one big, one big thing. For England and Scotland, it's a little bit different, or it's a bit different in Scotland than it is in Wales, and England. Wales and England tend to have the same, they have all the same thing. And then of course, Ireland is a republic, so that's a whole other kettle of fish. But so yeah, they bumped it upstairs to the High Court. The High Court is the next best thing to the Supreme Court in the UK. So it went up pretty high. And the person in the High Court, they did a 12, they called it a 12-day, but actually it included all of the work that had been done in the previous court case as well. And they did a fact-finding thing. And what that meant was that people came in and they gave evidence, and it was a big deal. It was all behind closed doors because it's family court, and that's the way family courts operate there, which I think is fair. I mean, you don't want people wandering in and out of the courtroom when you're talking about your child being anally raped.
Right.
I mean, that's just not a very nice thing. And the children's name has had to be kept quiet. Of course, they were not by the people who spread the story.
Yeah, because they're underage.
Yeah, they're underage, and anyone in any sexual abuse case has the right to lifelong anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
Their right to a lifelong anonymity has now been completely trashed by the people who claim to care about them. Mm-hmm. Which irks me to no end. They also publish their pictures all the time. They publish the videos whenever they can. It's disgusting. Anyway, the High Court thing, the judgment on that, I think you had that linked on your previous discussion with Tom Dunn. Yeah, and it's long, and I found it not terribly difficult reading personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very easy to read because the way that she laid it out, it was nothing but facts. It was just basic information. All unnecessary information was, if it was included, it was in context, and if it wasn't included, it just wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was pretty factual and pretty straightforward, and it basically said the father is innocent, the mother, and basically outlined exactly what I've just told you. That they're about the various investigations and so forth, and also gave the doctor shit for for re-examining the children in the first place, and then for trying to claim that RAD was a sign that in one child was a sign that both children had been abused.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because when I went over the case and I was prepping for that discussion, I was trying to anticipate his strongest arguments about it, and so I looked into that because I felt like that was a strong argument. And so I kind of studied a little more about that. And there was one website which was drawn up by some supporter of Ella Draper's. What's her name? McNeil? Sabine McNeil?
Yeah.
And I went over her website and I looked at some of the information she had, but all of her arguments were, really really bad. So I was like, I wonder if he's going to pull arguments from this website. If he does, those are really bad arguments.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of limited about what I can say about her because she is, in the UK, they have a system called sub judice, where when after a person has been charged with something, you cannot discuss their case publicly, like online or in the papers, until it has gone to trial.
I see. Okay.
Other than to say that the person has been charged and that they are awaiting trial. She's currently on remand in prison,
Okay.
not because.
Well, I mean, I'm just going by the web address. That's what the web address is. So I'm assuming
No,
that
she put up
that
a lot of
person's website
earlier. Yeah, they definitely do belong to her for sure. But I'm just saying I'm a bit limited in what I can comment about her just because of the sub judice laws. Because I do publish a blog that is read in England, and it's important to sort of stay within those rules.
I understand.
Yeah. But she is currently on remand. She'll be on trial for 21 charges of harassment and violating a restraining order in November, starting on the 19th. They're expecting it to be about a three-week trial. Okay. So, yeah, and she was one of the main sort of helpers of the parents, and she was their not legal representative. A McKenzie friend is someone who can go into court with you and sit with you and sort of hand you papers, but doesn't get the right of being able to speak in court. Mm-hmm. Kind of like your friendly assistant, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting role. It's not. I think it definitely has a place in family law, especially. But it's for people who are what they call litigants in person. In other words, they don't have a lawyer. So that's how that. So that was her role in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, that was a very, very good summary of the case. Yeah, because I was trying to because the night before I had a hangout on Wednesdays, and I was trying to kind of summarize the case, but I really wasn't able to do it, and I think I actually caused more confusion than was necessary. But I also didn't want to, give my hand away right before the discussion. So
yeah, for sure.
But I also wanted people to sort of understand it. So I appreciate you doing that, because apparently you know much more about this case than I do. So
yeah, I'm a total blast at dinner parties.
Well, good. And how's it going? This is Animist, by the way. He's somebody who's watched my videos for a very long time. He's a great guy. So how's it going, Animist?
Doing okay. How's the sound?
You sound a little quiet.
Okay, it could be me. It could be the speaker. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. But we can definitely hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it's a Saturday. I had a decent day. I came up with a couple of good ideas for my books, so that was cool. And I'm hoping to get into publication, but by the end of the year, at least electronic publication. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at. I'm furiously editing the first novel.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of reading and second guessing yourself, basically. Mm-hmm. Is that the right word? Should I switch those two words? I've only edited this thing 6 times so far. I better do it one more.
But do you second guess your second guess?
Yes, always. The only reason to publish a book is to make yourself stop tweaking it. that and to get paid.
Well, at some point you have to lift the brush and say it's done.
Yep. That's exactly where I'm at. It's like, okay, this thing owes me money. It's time to publish it.
I got a funny story for you. I went to art school here in San Francisco, and one of our big projects that we had to do towards the end of our art year was to create a mandala. And you could create any style of mandala, include anything. And so I used the Book of Kells as the mandala. So I created all of this intricate knotwork, and I got the color scheme down. I matched the colors from the Book of Kells, and It was very, very intricate, and we had a very specific color palette that we had to use. And so I used yellow in the very center of it. And we were working with a style of paint that's really difficult to use. I think it's called gouache or oil gouache or something gouache or gouache.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I pronounced it right. But and I ruined it. The paint bled out and just went into everything, and I ruined this project that I was like working on for days, and I was so pissed with myself. I took it into the class anyhow, but it was just like I just didn't stop. I just should have stopped because I went too far and I ruined it.
Yeah, the nice thing about writing is at least you can keep backup copies of the older versions. So
Right.
if you go down that rabbit hole and realize you've tangled yourself up, you can just kind of go, well, that's pedantic bullshit. Cancel that. Go reload the backup and try again. Whereas with physical art, yeah, you can totally stick your thumb in it.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, oh, well, I just fucked the whole thing. You know, I mean, you could wash the canvas and start all over, but you know, once you get to that point, it's just like, fuck. So well, cool. So I have, I didn't really have too much planned for this hangout, but I thought we would watch one video from a friend of ours who I've done videos on and who I did the discussion the other day with Thomas Dunn, who's convinced that witches are at this abortion clinic and that they're putting runes around to, I don't know, to do something, to somehow call up Satan or some demonic forces against spiritual warfare because Roe versus Wade. Or something like that. I don't know what his whole argument is. But we'll watch this and we can stop and comment on it. If I can find it. That might help. There we go. All right. Can you all see it?
Oh, I can.
Okay, good.
Do I want to? Yes, I do. One more time with this guy.
Do you want to see it? Yes, that's the question.
Yeah.
Come on. There we go.
If it says I'm live, then I'm live. What's going on? My beautiful Through the Black Army. I'm broadcasting live from Carl Road in Columbus, Ohio. And I came down today to do some ministry, do some warfare at the abortion clinic. And if you look behind me, you can see the Created Equal workers back there. So, but it looks like they're not doing abortions today, which is amazing news.
That's because they don't always just do abortions. They also do other things like, you know, help young mothers for the first time with their children and OBGYN and
cancer treatments.
Yeah, right. Exactly. STD testing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Birth control, all sorts of exciting things.
Yeah, exactly. Birth control, so they don't have to have an abortion in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's great. We don't want them to kill babies. We don't want them to do abortions. But anyway, as we're here, as we're talking, as we're praying, whoops, covered up the camera.
And he really needs to get a fisheye lens or something because I'm so tired of looking up his nose.
Oh God, I know. Yeah, the up the nose shots are a bit much.
Yes.
Yes.
We found what we believe, what we know are what we call charged objects. Okay. So for anybody that watched my live video last week, right over here.
So just for those of you who don't know, a charged object is anything that looks weird. He doesn't know what it is. Basically.
So like UFOs.
Right, exactly. But they're actually identified objects.
A funny rock or something with a.
Right. They're like IFOs, you know, they're identified objects.
Mhm.
They're IOs. He just doesn't know what they are.
I'll walk to the space and let me turn this camera around. Right over here was the area where I'll just call them by what they're calling themselves, witches, were doing a ritual.
So there were 3 people in fluorescent vests who were there to protect people who are coming into the abortion clinic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're kind of like security guards, but not really. They're there to help keep protesters away and to, you know, make the people who are coming to the clinic feel a little safe so they don't feel overwhelmed. And so that's what these people are. There were 3 people wearing bright yellow fluorescent vests that have like some writing on the back. And he believes that these 3 individuals, because of how they were placed, that they were casting a spell or somehow working magic. He doesn't understand that they're abortion clinic workers who are there to.
Oh, geez.
I think this guy's next shelf should be in the BSCZ category.
I am seriously concerned for this guy. I think he's going over the cliff, to be quite honest. I think he's really going off the deep end.
Yeah.
He's losing.
Yeah. I think I know who led him there.
Yeah, but he was voluntarily walking in that direction.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think she kind of helped to steer him in a particular direction.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So 3 people came together in agreement to summon a demonic presence, even though they didn't know they were summoning a demonic presence.
Isn't that terrible when you don't know that you're summoning a demonic force and you accidentally summon it?
Oh man, I hate when that happens.
There was this meme going around, like, you know, one of the reasons why people don't why people don't speak Latin anymore is because they would accidentally summon demons.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Vino reads us, oh no, not again.
Okay. They are taking what they're doing very, very seriously. So anyway, today, as we're hanging out here, we looked down and we found what are some charged objects laying on the ground. And I'll show some of.
So all of these things are very staged, in my opinion. It's like, so this is one of them right here. So we're going to get a closer look at it, but it looks like nail polish. It looks like somebody painted on with nail polish.
What is it meant to be? It looks like 18 or.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a figure 8, but each end of the 8 is not closed off, and then there's a line below it.
Uh-huh.
Now, this very well could be something that somebody, you know, drew and threw on the ground for whatever reason, or somebody dropped it, or I don't know, maybe somebody did purposely put it there, but I'm not familiar with the symbol. Maybe other people in the chat room are. Maybe somebody knows what this is or what it belongs to. But to me, it just looks made up.
Yep.
Right here. Okay.
I mean, it looks like somebody's trying to create something that they have very little knowledge of. That's why I think either he created it or somebody he knows created it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the chat is saying that it's an emoji pebble that kids make, and that this one is a grimace.
Oh, really?
So apparently it was probably dropped by accident by somebody making.
No.
Really? I never. a grimace emoji?
That's what Kari says. Yeah. So there you go. Now it's been identified. Maybe it's no longer charged.
Thank you, Carrie. And that's another one. And so it's just, and these don't really look, I don't know. There's just something about them that it just doesn't make any sense to me. Now this one, that's the female symbol, or Venus.
Oh man.
These are charged objects. Somebody writes the Venus symbol onto a rock. Okay.
Yeah, that totally looks charged to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you can see it glowing with power.
It definitely, it has, like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to emanate something any minute now.
Yes.
Probably
a demon stuck in that rock just waiting to come out.
Probably an advertisement for Maybelline.
Exactly. Or what's that lady's razor called? Goddess Venus, or
how the heck would we know that?
I don't know. I don't know. I've had girlfriends. I know about, girl stuff.
I think you're right.
I guess I'm the only one who never bothered to read the brand labels on anything.
You just stumble upon these things. You find out about, female stuff. And then you can never get it out of your mind again.
Yeah, exactly.
I grew up with a sports team full of sisters and have been married 3 times. That stuff has come and gone from my brain so many times I wouldn't know if I'd seen it before.
Okay, now that one looks like the triple goddess symbol. That's everybody knows that symbol. I mean, that's so none of these even make any sense. Okay, so they had an emoji, looked like half circles, Venus, and now the triple goddess.
Yeah.
And and then this one, it's either water.
I think that's the Stargate address.
I mean, yes, it's the alchemical symbol for, I think it's either water or air.
I thought it was a symbol for we went camping last weekend.
It could be that too. Actually, you're right. It does look like that. It looks like a campsite with the moon above. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so what is a charged object?
Oh no.
I hope he's genuinely asking us that, because clearly he doesn't know.
Well, we'll take notes, because he's going to explain charged objects to us.
Okay, and now let me walk over here real quick, because these things are laying everywhere. What is a charged object? A charged object is an object that was used in a ritual.
Now that one, yeah, that's the what do they call that? It's kind of like the swastika, but it's a sun symbol.
It's a sun symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Both the Norse and the Native Americans use that in different tribes of Norse and Native Americans used it. It was used by the Arctic circumpolar tribes too.
Good catch.
Yeah, that may be how the symbol got from the Native Americans to the Norse, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Good catch. I didn't think about the Native American symbol, or actually, I didn't even know about that. So, thank you.
Oh, they use all kinds of swastika patterns.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a very ancient symbol. Before Germany, or before Hitler and the SS took it over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it pretty much goes back to the Ice Age.
Yeah. Nowadays, you use it and somebody automatically thinks you're a Nazi. So,
what you see there, that's a witch's wheel, and
it's a what's this?
He's calling it a witch's wheel. I don't know. I don't even think they use that symbol in what's it called? The Dutch, the American Dutch. I don't even think they use that symbol on their barns.
No, it's a shamanic symbol. It wouldn't be used by the Pennsylvania Dutch. They used
That's one.
Yeah, they used more crosses and horseshoes, and I recognize them when I see them, but I don't remember their whole vocabulary. Some of my family were from that.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody calls that a witch's wheel.
Not as far as I know. I mean, not that I know anything about witches' wheels, but you know.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that animist?
It's not, as far as I know, it's not a witch symbol. It's a shamanic symbol, sometimes used by mystics. Indian mystics use it, but they got it from, you know, ancient people.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
like old symbology. Like, you know, like I said, that's Ice Age symbology.
Yeah.
And I mean, the most notable place that you can see that is in Wedelsburg Castle in Germany. I mean, this is Nazi occultism. Okay.
Actually, it's German paganism.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, he is right about that, but I mean, it's not like the Nazis invented it. I mean, honestly, all of these symbols, the first ones he showed us, those were obviously just made up, and then the other ones were ones that you would recognize, like the symbol of Venus, which is also the female symbol. Yeah, that makes sense. And then the other one, the triple goddess, that makes sense. And this one he's calling it what it is. So I think he's aware of who planted this, or if he planted it.
Yeah, that seems like an odd thing for someone who's like, you know, madly Christian to be aware of, unless he was like, you know, sort of a neo-Nazi or something prior to becoming a Christian. That would explain the tattoos.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And these are all ruins. Here's another one over here.
It looks like a clown. It's like a very unhappy clown. But you see, they're all red. They're all very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Very clean stone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not very sophisticated in their drawings, okay? But
and then what the hell is that? I have no idea what the hell that is.
I mean, a demon will show up. They don't care.
What?
They don't care. You could draw any random image on a rock and summon a demon.
Well, duh. I do that all the time.
That could be a chalice symbol. I mean, vaguely. That could be a cup. But you know the alchemical symbols better than I do. So I mean, if it was a chalice, it'd be an alchemy symbol.
Yeah, well, let's take another look at it.
Okay.
Well, usually, alchemy doesn't have a symbol of a chalice. You know, they have symbol for sulfur, for mercury, for salt. So they have the alchemical symbols for all the various things that the alchemists use.
I was thinking crucible. In alchemy, it would be a crucible.
Mm.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
It's another feminine symbol. But I don't know if that's one of them. I'm just saying that's, if you put the long triangle on the bottom and had the bowl at the top, it could be a crucible. I don't know. Looks pretty random.
All right.
It looks like something a Christian might have drawn, thinking that it looked witchy. That's what I think.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking that whoever created these, you know, they had a little bit of information, but not that much, and so they're just sort of creating it for whatever reason. I mean, because he needs to generate this hype. You know, he didn't quite film the three witches in the fluorescent vests who were supposedly doing some kind of ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day he had to come back to this spot, because this is the next day he's back, and now suddenly there's these stones with random symbols which are all the same color, and they're all fairly new, and you know, it's just
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's something very fishy about it.
Yeah.
And the stones were definitely rated from a landscape plot, you know, like somewhere where there was pebbles around bushes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody snagged rocks out of a landscaping plot for it. If it was done by a witch, it was done by a first-year person in their teens. It wasn't done by an adult.
Yeah.
Or because the shapes of the stones are all completely mismatched. And
yeah, it doesn't seem to have any real. It doesn't seem to have any cohesiveness to it at all.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be. I mean, a demon will show up. They don't care. They don't care. But if you look at where they're setting these charged objects, they're setting them right where they know we're going to be standing. And here's another one.
It's amazing how he knows exactly where to look, too.
So
I have no idea. That looks like a mask?
Mm.
I don't know what the hell that is.
Nope.
So there's another one. So anyway, what they do is they'll take these objects and they'll use them in a ritual. They'll summon demonic power and they will attach it to the objects, okay?
I love how he I love how he tells his audience what we do with objects, you know. This is what they do. They summon demons and they draw random symbols on rocks and then they throw them on the ground and somehow this does something.
Yes, bad things happen. And they are very bad people and we should avoid them at all costs.
Exactly. And then somehow spontaneously a demon will pop up.
Yeah.
I think you guys should really be offended by that kind of statement because, I mean, all kinds of occultists have spent all kinds of years trying to learn how to summon a demon and failed. And here he's saying that, any old fool can do it by accident. I think all the people who've put a lot of years into occultism should really be offended by that.
Yeah, exactly.
all your hard work wasted.
And they've never summoned an actual demon. And here this guy does it with a couple of rocks painted red.
Or even worse, some ignorant 13-year-old did it by accident by tracing shapes off of an internet emoji screen. I mean, by golly, if only we'd known.
Really?
And then, obviously, they will lay these out for protection, or they'll lay these out for curse. They'll lay these out for attack. So the people that are doing the ministry here may not necessarily...
And I'm so tired of looking at his mouth, too, and that scraggly-ass beard. He really needs... Does he own a pair of scissors at his house?
He's got women, like he's got a daughter and he's got a wife. They should be able to do a little bit of trimming or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or just tell him, hey, Thomas, your beard's getting a little scraggly. Can you trim it a little bit?
Okay, yeah, but I don't know that many men who do a good job at that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think maybe he's aspiring to be the next Mr. Snuffleupagus. I told you last week, somebody's got to be ready to take over.
That's true. That's true. He's not going to be around forever. Do you know who we're talking about? Snake Logan?
Snuffleupagus? Are you kidding? Yes.
You know who that is?
Oh, no. Oh, the white-haired guy?
Yo, you do know. Yeah, yes. Okay, yeah, Bill Schnoblin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know who that is. Good. Okay.
Yes,
so
I thought you were asking if I knew who
Go
Sorry?
ahead.
No, I thought you were asking if I knew who Mr. Snuffleupagus was, and I was like, yes.
Well, that's what I called Bill Schnoblin in one of my videos. I called him Bill Snuffleupagus.
Aha, got it. Okay.
So that's what Animus was talking about. But Bill Schnoblin is one of these people who claims that he was like an ex-witch and an ex-like 93rd degree Mason, Luciferian, Illuminati. He drank human blood for like 18 months. He was a member of the Church of Satan. He was a voodoo priest. He was a Mormon.
Wow. I
know exactly. He was. What else was he? Oh, he was a witch. He was a Freemason. I mean, this guy just has like.
How old is this guy?
He's getting up there. I think he's like in his 60s, 70s.
Well, I think 60s and 70s doesn't really give you time for all those kind of career changes, really.
Well, and he's now a Christian and been a Christian for quite some time. But
yeah.
everything comes out of this man's mouth is just bullshit. And and it's really funny that his initials are BS.
Be trained and know how to do how to battle that, how to deal with it. Okay. So in a sense, the witches can be here without even being here, okay? And they're trying to release a presence in the air. They're trying to release the demonic presence, and they're trying to bring curse to us, and they're trying to bring protection for themselves, okay? The whole idea of standing in a circle or drawing a circle, okay? And I don't know.
He's trying to find that last one that he planted.
I don't know what that stick is all about right there.
Oh, well, there's a stick there too. That changes everything. I didn't realize there was a stick involved. That changes the whole thing.
I wonder if it's a sacred stick.
Well, it's obviously a demonic stick.
Charged. Uh-oh.
Oh, wow, a charged demonic stick. He should get the hell out of there.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe that's a sign.
Yeah, he's in for a world of hurt. You better run.
But
oh, look at that. That is definitely a demonic stick. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. Either that or a drumstick. Well, I'm just saying, it could be a drumstick, that's all.
It's either a demonic stick or a drumstick.
right there.
Maybe if you rub it against another stick, you can make fire.
Yeah, but it's demonic fire.
I thought you were going to say if you rub it against another stick, it would make a baby stick. And I was going to say, like, this is a family channel.
That's how toothpicks are born.
Oh, God.
But here's another one right here that I did not get.
So, okay, so a line through it, so that could be the sun, and then another triangle, which could be either fire or earth. I don't know.
Yeah, those are Greek letters. That's delta and phi.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're delta.
They're used in physics. Those are common symbols used in physics, and basically,
And mathematics and things. Yeah.
those atheistic scientists are in on it now.
Oh yeah, you know that religion of scientism.
Yes. Yes. So clearly, these witches are extremely scientific as well as being just clever in the way they put things out.
Exactly, and that could be alpha and omega. So, could be
Well,
could be a Christian rock.
So all of these paintings, all of these little rocks with paintings on them have very significant meaning, okay?
They do?
To him, perhaps.
Well, if they have such deep, significant meaning, why didn't he explain them? Right?
Well, for the same reason that he was unable to explain any of the questions that you asked him about Hampstead.
He's just a simple guy. He just believes.
Yes, exactly.
He's just a simple guy. He just believes.
And if you see something like this in the wild, don't touch it until you pray over it, okay? I already picked one up just to see what it was.
Did it burn your fingers? That would be hilarious if it did.
You got to rub it against the other stick first, then it'll burn something.
It'd be like me when I walk into a church and I begin to spontaneously combust, you know?
Yes.
He picks up charged objects and he gets like burned.
Yes.
I go into a Catholic church and I put holy water on me and I get singed.
Ah, curses. I hate when that happens.
Exactly. Damn that.
I saw it laying in a hole. And what I'm going to do is when I shut this video down is I'm going to pray over all of this stuff. I'm going to ask God to break any curse, to break any demonic stronghold or any charging or any attachment on it. And then we're going to use it to show, what we found at an abortion clinic, what the witches were doing. So anyway, guys, not a lot of action here today, except for, of course, what we found here on the ground. Even though I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, the Spirit of God lives in me. You want to be careful messing with this stuff because we're human. We can make mistakes. We can have vulnerabilities. The enemy's very tricky. He wants to get in any way that he possibly can, and we don't want to give him a door or an opportunity or anything like that. So anyway, let me turn this around. Anyway, right here, we're at the abortion clinic today, and it looks like it's closed. That's good news.
There's that demonic stick haunting the corner.
Boy.
The workers, they're standing by, ready to help anybody that would be willing to come in and kill their baby today. Okay, these are the signs. I'll show you what's going on here. Is this another one? No, piece of paper. So
he sees symbols everywhere. I mean,
oh man,
that must be like a form of self-torture. Like if you see symbols everywhere that have like deep meaning, and you have to like second guess every little unusual object you come across in your daily life.
Yeah, well, welcome to the world of conspiracy theorists.
So I think I'm going to stop it here. I don't think he's going to go into any more really exciting stuff. So, I mean, that was pretty much just about it. Was just those. It
was seriously painful. It's just like, I mean, painful but funny, right? It's just like, what the hell, dude?
Well, that's the thing I wonder about some of these conspiracy theorists, because it's like they see, okay, if you have anything with a triangle in it, that's like Illuminati, you know. And apparently, like even the monster logo is the three signs of the Hebrew word that also also means 6, so it's 666. And it's like they just can find meaning in so many things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
No, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, you know what's really funny though, is that some of the people who were involved in pushing the Hampstead hoax actually have this thing where they go around to the different courthouses in London and plant crystals outside the court and do all this like dowsing and shit over it, and then claim that it's going to make the court case go the way they want it to. Yeah, I know. It's very, very strange. And considering that the hoax, the people who promote the hoax, by and large, are extreme fundamentalist Christian. The whole crystal and dowsing combo just seems a little bit peculiar.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't they consider that to be a sin, or would they consider that to be idol worship? Or I mean, I'm sure they have some kind of a negative association with it.
No, they seem to think that it's like a really totally cool thing to do. Now, granted, they haven't done it for a couple of years. They were doing it at maybe a year, I guess. They were doing it at one point, like releasing videos of this every couple of weeks, and it was just I mean, it was actually, there were some extremely funny moments, but yeah, it was very strange, and it didn't seem to me to fit with the whole anti-satanic thing that everyone else was kind of doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, because I know there's like when the New Age movement really began to catch on in maybe the 70s into the 80s. You got people who started throwing in like Christianity with this, and they started throwing all these various elements in with it. So I don't know, maybe they are like Christian New Age people who, they prayed over crystals and planted them in courthouses. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, no, damned if I know. I was trying to figure it out, but it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Much of this doesn't really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't. It's kind of like once you begin to peek inside of this door, and you just you just can't get it out of your mind. It's like, and if you try to figure it out, like try to really understand it, which I've actually done before, it's scary because you feel like you can understand them. Like there was a while where I was getting into some of these conspiracy theories where I was just like, this is just fucking nuts. This is just fucking nuts. And then one day I was watching a video I was going to do a response to, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a second. I understand. Wait, I understand why they think that way. And then I was like, oh shit. Am I becoming a conspiracy nut? Because you can begin to understand why they connect these things. And it's just, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, obviously, but you can understand how they made that connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like tracing the lines of a spirograph.
Yeah. Yeah, except you're not really following a pattern. You're actually kind of you're sort of creating the pattern that you're going to follow because you've already associated certain symbols with certain things that mean certain things. So if you happen to see those symbols with something else and that has a deep meaning and that connect, I mean, it's like a game of connect the dots where you create the dots. If that makes sense.
Well, you throw breadcrumbs out in front of yourself and pretend you're following a trail.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Well, connecting the dots. I mean, really, that's the motto, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say. They say, all you got to do is just connect the dots. And it's like, no, you're connecting the dots that you created.
You put those dots there, doofus.
Exactly. Oh, man. Crazy. So let's see. Do we want to watch another video?
Only if it's not the same guy. He's way too incompetent.
Oh, okay. All right.
But hey, it's your show. Do what you want, man. I won't hang up.
Okay. I can always depend on you to further my madness, Animist. I appreciate it.
Well, it's just, these people who claim to know the occult in order to fight it, look, I just wish they'd read their own book, and see that, for example, the Bible actually mandates abortion for various circumstances, and B, learn the difference between a spell, a curse, a ward, and a summoning, and try to pick one. He's running around looking at these rocks, and he's giving it 4 very different kinds of magical assignations because he doesn't know what it is. So he's just pulling one thing out of his butt after another without actually knowing what it could be. It's like they couldn't be wards. They weren't really attached to anything. They were loose in the ground. They couldn't be spells because there was no one casting them. They weren't arranged. They couldn't be curses because they were protective symbols, or a lot of them were, and we'll just leave off the summoning thing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they like if they're an actual occult expert, it seems like they would understand what the different symbols are and what they actually mean. Like, for example, if I, obviously because I've grown up in the Western culture, I mean, I know about Christian symbols, but if you went into a church and you saw like, a guy up in a crucifix and then like, fishes and all these other little icons, you could string together a completely different interpretation of what Christianity is. But because you understand what's behind the symbols, you understand what they represent. So you understand that the person on the cross represents, their savior that was crucified, and you understand that the fish means, what could mean the fisherman, or what's that one character who's a fisherman of souls?
That's a good question. James, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. But anyhow, my point is you could string together something that's completely different than what it actually is if you don't understand the context of each one of those symbols.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So all right. Well, since we were talking about Bill Schnoblin earlier, let's watch a video from him. This is the latest one from him, so this should be interesting.
Well, we haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear from Mr. Good old Bill Schnuffleupagus. As soon as I get my things in order, get all my ducks in a row here. All right. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Whoops.
After considerable prayer, we decided to do something a little different.
Oh, good.
Because of what really is going on right now. We want to let people know, first of all, that I'm going to be doing a radio show this evening with Shannon Davis on Omega Man Radio, 9 to 11, 2 hours. That's Central Time, 9 to 11 p.m. And we're going to be talking about what is an increasingly vital subject, which is the role of spiritual warfare and witchcraft in terms of what's going on in our political situation right now. And we need people to get involved, both in terms of the spiritual warfare aspects of it and prayer, but we also need people to get involved in terms of not being apathetic, and please going out and going to the voting booth, because these midterm elections are obviously going to be probably the most critical midterm elections that I can remember in my lifetime. We are going to be talking.
That's a hell of a memory, because he's lived a long lifetime.
About,
You know, you kind of spoiled me for him, because I can't see his face now without hearing the Benny Hill theme. I just am waiting for his head to start bouncing around the screen. After your one intro, you just ruined him for me.
Oh man, I got to resurrect that and put that in a video again. yeah, that was funny.
Underpinnings of what is going on, the spiritual war in our nation's government, and we're going to be talking about strategies and tactics for overthrowing the enemy and the way he has gotten his hooks.
So, okay, so for example, if Satan actually exists, how do you overthrow Satan? Huh?
No, actually.
Yeah.
Another case of them not reading their own book.
Yeah, didn't God kind of put him in charge of this world? And
yeah, that was my sort of idea of how it was supposed to work. I thought he wasn't supposed to be overthrown. He was supposed to be, sort of a, counter force, or God's fact checker or something. I don't know.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because apparently he kicked him out of heaven. Supposedly kicked him out of, or am I confusing him with Lucifer? But anyhow, but God essentially allows Satan to exist. So that's one thing that I've always wondered about, and I don't quite understand it. I understand the aspect of seeing the figure of Satan as the person who tempts man. That I can understand, like the sins, and like supposedly this force is the one that's behind your lust and your greed and all those sins. So I can understand that. But overthrowing that, how do you overthrow Satan?
Well, it kind of implies that if you wanted to, you could overthrow God also, which is a little bit, because they're both intended to be, larger, massive supernatural entities of some sort.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, and you obviously can't overthrow God.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Into the leadership of our nation, we're going to be giving important tactical information for people that are intercessors, help them pray more effectively.
His beard looks like it was trimmed a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually it does. If he's trying to do the whole Jewish man thing, he's doing it wrong.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to trim your hair, are you?
Nope.
Uh-huh.
and with greater intelligent understanding of what's really going on. So please share this video. Please get it out to as many people as possible. We have thousands of subscribers, I think more than 25,000 subscribers. And if every one of you would catch this video and share it with all your friends and let everybody know about this, because this is going to be a real call to arms like never before. Thank you. And please tune in tonight, 9 to 11 p.m. Central Time on Omega Man Radio. Shannon Davis and I are going to be tackling this important subject. Thank you.
Oh, well, that wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. He was basically just selling his spot tonight. What a disappointment. Oh, well.
Yeah, that's sad.
Although, to answer your question from just a minute ago, in Middle Eastern mythology, Satan worked for God.
Okay.
And it's still pretty much alluded to that way to some extent in Islam. And his job was to test the souls of the people to purify their faith. This goes back to the book of Job, 1500 BC, which is why it has that weird exchange between God and Satan in the book of Job. And that's a separate personality from Lucifer and a separate reference from the morning star and everything else they conglomerated together.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Satan works for God. He's like chief prosecutor / interrogator of heaven.
Yeah, he's kind of like the guy who does the dirty work, right?
Well, to see if you're really faithful, if you're just lucky, because you could just be lucky. Because they in old Middle Eastern cultures, if you were rich, you were assumed to be blessed by the gods, and so Satan would test you to see if you were really faithful, or if you had just stumbled onto luck.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then Lucifer was a mistranslation, I believe, right? I mean, I did a video on it, but I can't remember the whole thing.
Lucifer from later in the Bible was a metaphor for the emperor of Babylon, and that was the reference it was, and that was the end of it. It wasn't referenced anywhere else in the Bible, as far as I know.
Because it was supposed to be, the star that appeared in the sky it was a star that appeared right in the sky before the sun came up, which is Venus.
Yeah.
And so it became the light bearer, the one who brought the light, brought the dawn. So,
yeah.
Which ironically, in the book of Revelations, Jesus claimed to be that star. He claimed to be the morning star. And that's one of the official names, one of the official metaphors for Jesus in fundamental Christianity is he's the morning star.
Oh, interesting.
He's actually claiming to be the devil.
Yeah.
Oops. Somehow somebody screwed up that translation.
Yeah, seriously. Well, this is the problem too. There's so many translations and misunderstandings of basic, words and all sorts of things in the Bible. It's just, I don't know how anyone makes sense of it, really.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different, and then depending upon which country you're in, like the King James version of the Bible is comprised of 66 books, I believe. And what is it? The Old Testament is like 33 books. And then if you look at the Ethiopian Bible, or one of the Ethiopian Bibles, they're like 88 books or something. They're like a lot more. And then there's another version of a Bible which is like only, so they're all different,
Yeah, well, it depends on. I mean, they had conferences basically to decide, which books stayed and which books went.
Yeah, and there was two of them. There was the Council of Nicaea, and then there was the King James Council.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he basically just said, "Okay, all you bishops, get over here, hammer it out, figure out a Bible, and somehow make women look bad if you can." I don't know, make them evil. Just throw it in there somehow, and witches too. Throw the witches in there.
Yes, that is correct. and then make them paint red nail polish on stones and put them around the abortion clinics, and then we'll scare the living shit out of Tom Dunn. That's what we will do.
Exactly. And okay, so you're a demon. You can only be summoned by this rock with a female symbol on it. Okay, so just wait your turn. It's going to be a really long time. In about 2,000 years, there's going to be a guy. He's going to be at an abortion clinic, and somebody's going to paint this symbol onto a stone. They're going to throw it onto the ground. That's your cue to come up and harass them.
Excellent. Okay, that sounds like a plan. Okay, got it.
It's going to be 2,000 years from now, so just, you know, go out and have a cigarette and come back.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's got to be some better way to do this.
I don't understand some of these things. It's just like I don't know how they what do they think like actually happens? I mean, do they honestly believe the stuff that they perpetuate, or do they know it's bullshit? That's often.
Oh, this is a question I addressed in tonight's blog post.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I'm not even kidding. I think yep. I basically was saying, you know, it's really hard to tell, and some of the things that people who claim to believe that the world is run by baby raping Satanists will do is astounding. Like, for instance, if you think that the Satanists are all after our children and they're coming to get yours any minute now, and they'll probably, you know, steal it and take it away to a horrible life of you know, being raped and abused and then murdered, why do you put pictures of your children on Facebook? You know, and their names and the school that they go to, and then tell people all about them, and then make your profile profile as public. Like, why do you do that if you believe this? And yet all of them do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every single one. And, you know, I mean, or even why would you go on Facebook in the first place? You know, if you really believe that, if you think people can find you, and I mean, you know, you're worried about your own security, why would you do that? You know, any social media, it makes no sense.
So what is the name of your blog?
It's Hoaxstead Research.
Hoaxstead Research. Okay, so let me put that link in the, because I think I went here.
Yeah, I think you if for people who don't really, you know, if you're just getting into the Hampstead hoax, which is pretty much a rabbit hole, go to the on the top bar on the far right hand side, I believe.
Is it hoaxsteadresearch.wordpress.com?
That's the one. Yes.
Okay.
The one with the really long title.
Okay, so so I'm at the site now. So if I go to what?
Go on the, well, any page, but when you're looking at the site, if you go to the black bar on top, it'll say new to Hoaxstead. That's where you should start, because it basically spells out the story. It gives the the judgment from Mrs. Justice Poffley. It explains who the main players are, and then it sends you to other links on the blog that go into more detail.
Okay, so hopefully people can see this. So here's the blog, and I will put the link in the chat too, so people want to go and check it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you put me up on there too. Thank you.
I did. Yes, because that was a really fun one.
And I don't know who posted that meme about Thomas Dunn looking like the Witchfinder General, but he does. He looks so much like like Vincent Price from the Witchfinder General.
Yep.
So let me put this in the chat, so if people want to go and check it out, they can. Where's it? There it is. So that is the link to that blog, so you can go and check it out and find out more.
Yeah, no, and we welcome questions and discussions from anyone who's interested. It's many of the people who are commenting there have been doing so for a very long time, and a lot of people know the case pretty much inside out and backwards. It's a very strange hobby.
Yeah, it is a strange hobby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I think you should probably know that I probably work for MI5, MI6, Mossad, GCHQ, or the CIA. Take your pick.
Not the Illuminati?
Yeah, them too.
Okay. Oh, but you probably weren't supposed to say that, though, right?
Oh no, I know. I slipped up. Damn.
Crap.
I'm gonna have to go and take my suicide capsule, I guess.
No, it's a double bluff. It's a red 32 double bluff. Everyone knows when you're performing a secret interrogation, one does not inform the public.
Exactly.
It's a double bluff, lady. Don't call me stupid. I'm sorry. Fish called Wanda.
or what do they call that? The false flag. So
yes.
If you say you're in the Illuminati, it's actually a false flag, and you are in the Illuminati, but you're trying to throw people off by saying you're not part of the Illuminati.
I think that's called a psyop.
Ah, a psyop, yeah.
Yes.
And then if you tell people that you're in the Illuminati, but not really in the Illuminati, but you're actually in the Illuminati, and you want them to believe that you're not in the Illuminati because you actually are in the Illuminati, that's a psyop.
Yes, exactly. I think.
I think.
I get it a little bit confused sometimes.
Well, when you get so deep into the Illuminati, the people don't even know they're in the Illuminati. That's how deep they are.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Because after the meetings, you have to take that pill that erases your memory. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to transform back into a lizard.
No.
Yeah, it's all very complicated. It takes a lot of time and energy, I have to say.
Yeah. I was joking with some friends of mine that we should create little Illuminati cards.
And send them to Columbus, Ohio.
We'll make Bill Schnoblin and Thomas Dunn honorary members.
Publish the official membership roll, or leak it. Leak the official membership roll.
Yeah,
Anonymous.
Don't publish it. Yeah, leak it. I like that one better.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's a strategic leak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that's called being a gatekeeper. I'm teaching you all these words because it's important that you know them.
Yeah, now I've heard that word gatekeeper. That's when you keep information where you kind of hold like the gate or the opening to information, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I've come across that term before.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. I'm going to ask people if they have any videos. Yeah, somebody says, "Hi, can I have an Illuminati card?" Who's the keymaster? Now they're talking about Ghostbusters. That's Peachy. Peachy, that's Ghostbusters. Gozad. Goza. So let's see.
My cat just came in the room.
Well, I just got a notification that they went live, so I wonder what they're talking about. Let's look in on them.
Ooh, who did?
Through the Black.
Oh, jeez. Ooh.
And ironically enough, they are calling for Hampstead justice now, not later. Now,
right?
Even though there was already a trial, or not a trial, excuse me, a judgment.
Yeah, fact-finding hearing, basically. Yeah.
I kept calling it a trial before.
Oh, it's close enough. There were witnesses. There was a judge. It was in a courtroom.
Right.
That the victim was terrified by her uncle's Satanist rituals. Okay, on March 11th, 2011, Colin Bately, the leader of a Satanist coven, was convicted at Swansea Crown Court of more than 20 sexual offenses against children, including 11 rapes. He and others in his Satanist coven had ritually abused children in Kidwelly, Wales.
Do you really have to put the coven part on? I mean, can't you just call it a group of Satanists?
Yeah. You know what? I think what he's reading is off. Oh yeah, it's from UK Column. That makes sense. UK Column is kind of like a very sedate Alex Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If Alex Jones was extremely constipated and had a very low voice and tried to sound intellectual rather than insane, that's who he would be.
I like that description.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, this is their list of alleged real satanic abuse cases, and I can tell you why the vast majority of them are not, because in fact there have never been any satanic abuse cases found in the UK. The Colin Batley case is one where there actually was a pedophile ring, but it was in a suburban housing complex in Wales, I believe, and children were sexually abused. But it was basically this Colin Batley guy set himself up as kind of the head of a. I don't think that you could really call it a cult, but it was a group of people who were sexually abusing children, and it was horrible. And there was absolutely no doubt about it, and it had nothing to do with Satan.
Right. Yeah, because that's the thing that I often mention in my videos is it's like when I'm going over these cases, I'm not dismissing or saying that any kind of sexual abuse never happens, because obviously it does happen. Mm-hmm. However, the context for it, I mean, just if somebody has a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible on their shelf, it doesn't automatically make it satanic. It makes it illegal activity committed by somebody who calls themselves a Satanist.
Yes, exactly. You know? And I don't think Batley even called himself a Satanist. I believe he would dress up in robes and he put candles down and stuff. And I think it was partly to reinforce the idea that he was somehow, special, and also to scare the children. And people believed that he had, that he was the head of this group and he had special powers and so on and so forth. But that was not Satanism. It was just some dude with a, weird sexual fetish.
It sounds like he was trying to control and manipulate these people.
It was, yeah. He was a very,
it was very mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Was based and also in Bedford in London. The court was told that the children, some as young as 11, were subjected to organized and systematic abuse by Bailey, his wife Elaine, and two women coven members. Jacqueline Marling, 42, described by the judge as Batley's second in command was
Oh yeah, right. Batley's not Bailey.
For 12 years after being convicted of aiding and abetting and rape, causing prostitution, indecency with a child, and inciting a child to engage in sexual activity. Batley's wife, Elaine, 47, was jailed for 8 years after being found guilty of 3 charges of indecency with child and sexual activity with a child. Shelley Millar, 35, was jailed for 5 years of indecency with a child, inciting a child to engage in sex. A 5th defendant, Vincent Barton, 70, of Kempstead, Berkshire, admitted assaulting an underage girl. He was jailed for 3 years. Number 6, 2 members of Witches' Coven in St. Ives, Cornwall, were convicted at Truro Crown Court in December 2012 for their ritualistic, sickening sex abuse of young girls, jailing Jack Kemp for 14 years and Peter Petrowski for 18.
Petrowski.
Yell louder. I'm sure he'll hear you.
Yeah, right.
And when your pronunciation is so bad that Hellbound Heathen is correcting you, huh?
I know, really, exactly. I fuck up everything.
Told them the officers range from the extremely
offenses
serious to the truly horrifying. The judge also, the offenses, I'm sorry, range.
It's all right. You're welcome.
From the extremely serious to the truly horrifying. The judge also commented that the scars left on the victims are so obvious that it would seem extremely unlikely that either of them have any prospect of recovery. Petrowski was convicted of rape, aiding and abetting, and attempted rape and indecent assault. Kemp was convicted of 10 sexual offenses, including indecent assault and indecency with a child.
Do you know anything about that case?
No, I don't. No,
Yeah,
I know. I'm familiar with. There was a study done that was commissioned by the UK government by a professor at a university who basically looked into the whole thing of satanic ritual abuse and did a survey of all the cases, went through the legal documentation. I have a link to it. I can't lay hands on it right this very second, but I can send it to you.
Okay.
And she basically went through the whole thing, and she has. I know that she's looked at each of these cases, except for the Batley one, which was more recent. I don't, and it wouldn't have included the Cornwall one as well, but basically she looked at all of the ones that had happened at that time and concluded that none of them constituted satanic ritual abuse. That there were various different kinds of abuse, and abuse was definitely happening, but it was not SRA. And for that, she got put on a list written up by a bunch of SRA believers, and saying that she was a satanic ritual abuser. Yeah, so it's been a sort of a covert war going on for years now. Years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look at this, is there more? Okay, and there's our buddy, right?
Oh, they're watching videos too. So we're watching a video of them watching the video. And you people in the chat, you're watching a video of us watching a video of a guy watching a video.
It's a little bit meta for me.
I know, really, it's like YouTube Inception.
Just as long as he stops reading at us.
Right. And you know, it'd be really funny is if Now You See TV was streaming our stream and they're watching us watch.
Well, and then later we can catch the whole thing on replay, and then we can rewatch ourselves.
Where does it end? Where does it end?
Now you understand my life.
Now we understand why you talk to squirrels.
Yeah, exactly. If the next time you're wondering what's up with that crazy shamanist stuff, just remember this moment. This is my life.
Before Animist and I met, he was perfectly normal and a well-adjusted man, and and then it all went downhill from here. He started watching my videos and talking squirrels, and
and again, it's not illegal to be a Satanist. Okay?
Oh, good.
Okay. It's not illegal.
But it is illegal to abuse children, so.
I was talking to somebody this week about Crowley, And
hey, he pronounced his name correctly.
Seriously, I mean, how you can defend this guy that was just so perverted. And where was I at? Anyway, it's just the same thing they say about Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. Oh, you're taking that out of context. You're taking that out of context, you know. And so ridiculous.
I think he's talking about the supposedly the comment that Margaret Sanger talked about eugenics or abortion clinics for people who can't afford abortions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Anyway, whatever. It's laughable. It's so laughable. But this is what we're dealing with, right, guys? Folks, yes, we demand Hampstead justice now. What does that mean? What can we do?
That's a very good question, Tom.
If only they would, I don't know, interview witnesses and have, you know, like a judgment on it and interview the children. I mean,
and go to the church and look and find out that they could not possibly store 800 skulls in a church drawer.
I mean, if only they would, you know, pass some kind of a judgment on it. If only that would have happened.
Gosh, opportunities missed.
Now we'll just never know. Is it true? Is it not true? It's all up for debate.
Exactly. What I want to know, here's my big question. Mm-hmm. What is he going to accomplish selling T-shirts and cards and banners in fucking Ohio? He lives in Ohio. He does not live in the UK.
Well, it's such a worn out topic in the US that there's really no point in going over that ground here. The FBI has already told them all to fuck off. Don't bother us.
Good for the FBI.
So what is our FBI going to do? Like tell them to, you know, they already investigated it, you know. That's the thing that drives me nuts is like, you know, it's the same thing that people talk about with, for example, the Oak Hill case or the McMartin preschool or, you know, Lawrence King in Boys Town. It's like these things were already investigated. They have professionals, they had judges, they had criminal prosecutors, they had witnesses, they had all this information. They went to a judge. The judge looked at all the information and determined it was false. Mm-hmm. You know, why do you, sitting in your basement in Ohio, think that you know more than a judge in the UK about what happened in their own backyard?
Yeah, well, a lot of people in the UK think they know more than the judge too, but you know, they also were not present at the fact-finding hearing, so how do they know? I mean, a lot of stuff was probably withheld.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're gonna hop on a boat and float over to England and, you know, storm Parliament and storm the courts and go to these places, and
they have airplanes now, Tom. You don't have to hop on a boat and go over to England.
Sorry, that just killed me.
Someone tell him he's not allowed to go whaling anymore.
My name is Ahab.
Leave Moby Dick alone.
It's a protected species.
Moby Dick did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Because that's kind of, you know, there's a certain similarity there between these people and Ahab. They're still chasing that same white whale they were chasing in the 70s.
Yeah. But at least that white whale was real in the story, at least.
There actually was one. Believe it or not, there actually was a white whale.
Oh, I'm sure there probably was.
Yeah, and it actually did like kill quite a few whalers.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. At some point, some of the whales will actually decide enough's enough and start crunching on the longboats and trying to sink the ships. And there actually was a white whale that would attack whalers. It was
The whale uprising. we were so worried about the monkeys, we forgot about the whales.
oh, they've got bigger brains. If they ever get the thumbs back, we're screwed.
Yeah, really. If they ever figure out how to survive on land, we are fucked.
Or hold up our little stickers and say, hey, you know, you got to do something about this. You didn't do the right thing. And
you know, I do appreciate one thing, and he actually made this announcement in one of his hangouts, and he was saying that if people didn't have money and they sent him a note and or an email and told him, hey, Tom, I live in such and such, and I'd like to get a packet of, you know, 500 or 200 of those little cards that he paid for, that he would happily send them to you. So I think that's pretty nice of him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's really good, because I know some people who are on our side who were doing that.
Because
like phoning or emailing him and saying, could they have some, please?
Oh, good. Yeah, because I think they'd be nice to have, you know, for bookmark.
Oh, yeah, awesome. And some of them had UK addresses too.
Nice.
You know, so I mean, how better to, you know? Yeah.
I should send some to my friends in Australia.
Get out of your ever-loving tree.
There was no investigation. There was only a probe, and the judgment was full of errors and all, you know, all this stuff. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be allowed to even go to London personally ever again for the rest of my life.
Yeah, right. Like, like the government doesn't want you coming in there. They have no fucking idea who you are. I can just imagine he comes over on his boat, his little dinghy, pulls up to, I don't know what, Southampton. I don't even know what city is closest to the most western coast. But, and then the UK government's just there like, nope, turn around, go back. We don't want you here.
There was a guy that tried to come from the States. And guess who he was recruited by? I give you 3 guesses.
Ella Draper?
Nope, Angela Power Disney. This guy, Tom's friend here.
Now, what is her? Are you allowed? Can you tell me?
Yes, oh yeah, I can talk about her all I want.
Oh, good. So how is she involved in all this?
That's a very good question. She got involved. She was involved in the original sort of group of hoaxers who started the whole thing. She wasn't, I don't think she was not one of the planners, but she was one of the early adopters. And she kind of clawed her way to the top by, essentially, they tend not to get along with each other very well. And they have a lot of fights. They have a lot of, sort of acrimonious to and fro battles. And as they kind of fell by the wayside, she would climb closer and closer to the top. She is now sort of the main person standing who still talks about the Hampstead hoax. And so she, in 2016, she actually talked to Tom first, I think. And then she found this guy named Rupert Quaintance, who I think she liked him better. He had more energy. He was possibly better looking. I suppose in a weird kind of way, although his head looks like a Tic Tac. It does. She actually.
What flavor of Tic Tac?
The white kind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she actually raised money and had a GoFundMe, and also put a lot of her own money into having him come over to the UK. He was arrested because, he had been sending, sort of doing vaguely threatening things. And then he went and sent a picture of himself standing outside the school where this is alleged to have happened, and stating that he had a knife in his pocket, which, you know, I know guns are a bigger thing in the States, but in the UK, it's illegal to carry a knife. You're not allowed to do it. And basically saying, sort of, he posted it on the first day of school at about 9 o'clock in the morning, just as the kids were going to be going in. And the parents saw it and went completely, like, calling the police immediately. And they arrested him, and he actually wound up on for a year on bail in the UK. And then he had the trial, and he wound up in jail, in prison, for about 4.5 months.
Wow.
And then was deported. He actually, honestly, I've seen videos of him since then, and he looks like a very broken person.
Mm.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was Angela's other protege. So you'd think that Tom might sort of look at the Rupert experience and think, do I want to end up like that?
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's the other thing, is this sort of martyr complex that a lot of these people get. It's like nobody knows who you are. Nobody fucking cares. You know.
No.
I mean, it's like I see some of these comments. People talk about me. It's like, oh yeah, well, if he ever actually met like a real Satanist or whatever, it's like, and they claim to have been some kind of real Satanist, and yet they can't like answer basic questions about things.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you've had an actual priest and representative of the Satanic Temple on your talk show.
Well, yeah.
You've actually met a real Satanist for several hours.
Yeah, that was oh crap, what was his name? I'm still in contact with him.
Yeah, that was Reverend Raoul.
Yeah, Raoul. Yeah, he does a podcast.
Yeah, Mr. Tiki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mr. Tiki Culture. I liked him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
There once I was in the airport. Or was that twice? I can't remember. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be allowed back. So anyway, that's out. But
no, Tom, you just can't afford to go to the UK. So you need to sell some more of your banners.
Actually, I used to know one of Anton LaVey's grandkids. Speaking of knowing real Satanists, he didn't have anything nice to say about Anton, but none of his family did. Anton was kind of a dick.
No, Carla LaVey's son.
I don't know who the intermediary child was.
Oh,
but it was one of his grandkids. But I think I remember that name 15 years later. I don't even remember the name of the grandchild.
Well, it's funny just because I was on another person's show earlier, Knobs, and we were talking about Anton LaVey. So just interesting.
Yeah, it seems like the better you knew him, the less you thought of him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never met him. You know, I know that I knew people who were in the Church of Satan who actually knew him back in the 80s. You know, and there was a lot of controversy because of the Satanic Panic, and also I also felt bad because me being more involved in the pagan witch circle, and we kind of had a bad opinion about Satanists, which was undeserved. But we were caught up in that moral panic too, and we wanted to distance ourselves from Satanists. So later on, when I learned that, wow, you know what, those Satanists are actually decent people and they actually got a bad rap, I felt bad about it. I felt like, you know, I probably could have not denigrated them as much as I. And it's not like I went around denigrating, but I mean, I had a bad opinion about them, and it was undeserved.
Yeah,
but some of the leaders were being pretty flamboyant in public. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
well, back in the 80s, everybody was pretty flamboyant. I mean,
that's true. I just remember hair bands. Yeah, that's true. even the Christian musicians were pretty flamboyant back then. Remember Stryper?
Yes, exactly. It was nothing but hairspray and a lot of teasing.
Yes,
teasing hair, not teasing people.
Yes.
can make a way. God can make a way. We can look at the book of Daniel and see how God made a way through politics when all...
Okay, Tom, why don't you let God handle this? You know, I'm sure God has a plan with this whole thing. Why don't you just turn it over to God and let God deal with it? But he knows better. He knows better than God. So
I'm pretty sure God's plan is dilly-gaff. Because anytime, and if you look at all the holy books, anytime anyone asks that question of God in a supposed interview, God pretty much says dilly-gaff.
I think God pretty much just wrote our planet off about 2,000 years ago and moved on to another one. He just the planet I made and I fucked it all up. All right, I'm going over to this galaxy and I'm going to work on this planet.
Well, he's got plenty of canvas to work with, you know.
He's got a lot of canvas to work with.
We're just another potential in a long line of overambitious potential failures. It's up to us to pull it off.
Right. Uh-oh, I think I broke my computer.
Who knows?
Okay, so here's the question: can anyone still hear anything? Do we have any sound going to people in the chat?
That's a good question. I can't tell. I don't really. Hang on. I'll mute here and then I'll unmute over there. Just a second.
Oh, yeah. They said they're still getting us. I think Hellbound may have to reset something, which means it could crash. We might crash here, but we're probably about at our time limit anyway. So
Getting there, yeah, for sure.
Usually at about 2 hours that's about enough.
Yeah.
It was really cool having you on the show. It's nice one of these weird issues to have someone who actually knows all the material. Usually I don't pay enough attention to pop culture to develop anywhere near that in-depth of a knowledge about any of these scams.
Yeah, it was kind of an accident. They attacked me and I was just like, what? Fuck you. And kind of got involved in trying to undermine it. And then, yeah, it was just one of those weird things. So.
Okay, poor target selection, huh?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That is the downfall of many conspiracy theorists and hoaxers and stuff, is eventually they piss off the wrong person who happens to have research skills.
Research skills and unbelievably tenacious.
Yeah.
So my father used to say I was like stubborn as an army mule. I think that's about right. Anyway, yeah. So what are your books going to be about?
Oh, I'm going to start publishing a high fantasy, like sword and sorcery kind of series.
Oh.
And they're books that I've worked on and off for years. And then having written basically the first trilogy several years ago, finished it several years ago, and I looked over it and reread it and said, well, I wrote this, but I don't really understand it. And so I took some time to go off and figure out some other things about my practices.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, though, is to put your work away for a while and then bring it back out again.
Yeah,
because it really does show up what you like. You're not in the same headspace anymore, and you get a chance to kind of take a fresh look at it.
Yeah, and now when I've reread it, I actually understood why I wrote what I wrote, which means it's possible to write the sequel. So, because I could have started publishing it several years ago, and I realized that there wasn't any point in publishing it if I wasn't going to be able to write the sequel, or if I was never going to understand why I wrote some of the stuff I did in the first place.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. Well, I can tell you from experience that whatever you write, you're going to publish it, and then you're going to wish that you hadn't, because you'll go like, "Oh my God, I forgot this and that and this over here," and oh my God. Because I've got 3 mysteries that I had published years ago, and I can't stand to look at them, honestly. It's just like,
well, I've got a couple of little sections and fillers to put back in that I had previously left out, but otherwise I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
There are certain issues that I can readdress in the sequels if I want, due to the way the plot is formatted. So, no, I'm really pleased with it. In fact, I've been over amusing myself rereading what I've been reading, because I was like, oh, this is going to be called back later at the end of the second book. So, yeah, a little bit of narcissistic editing going on.
Well, no, that's good. That's good, though.
Yeah, at least I'm not totally disappointed in it at this point. But, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully that'll work out. I've certainly put enough hours into it that this story owes me money.
Yeah.
So I've spent how many hundreds of hours on this?
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Writing is not a lucrative business for the vast majority of us.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, it was therapeutic to do, but I wasn't doing it for therapy. I was doing it to try to clarify certain things and to write a fiction novel that wasn't the King Arthur's tale over again. That was that was the oath I swore, is I will not rewrite the hero, the hero of 1,000 faces. So I set about to do a fantasy series that wasn't King Arthur. And anywhere that started to creep in, I ruthlessly weeded it out. So hopefully I'll get it out there, and then I'll try to let people know it exists in case anybody wants to see my idea of fantasy fiction. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's written it's like a Taoist water metaphor written by a shamanist. So there may be things in there that most people don't get, but I think the story's good. They may catch some of the joke references.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
We will find out in the next year.
Yes, well, I look forward to hearing about it. That'll be cool.
Yeah, we'll see. Because the thing with the arts in general is nobody can control whether they become famous or live in obscurity. It is so capricious.
Yeah, for sure. Incidentally, I think we've lost Tom. Sorry,
yeah.
not Tom. I'm sorry. Why did I say that?
Yeah, he may log back in. He may have problems. He may have to restart his whole computer.
Yeah.
There was one night where he logged off and some of us were still on. We kept talking for another hour and a half to ourselves. Everybody was logged out. There was just a couple of us hanging out in here.
Yeah. And then you start playing, like Peter Frampton on the radio, and
right. Well, once he's logged off, it stops recording.
Yeah.
But the Google line is still open. You can still basically use it as Skype.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now we have to decide, at some point one of us ends up owning the call, and we could invite other people to join it if we wanted to.
Hard day.
Could keep it going in a chain for the next 72 hours straight.
That's awesome.
But nobody on YouTube would know what was going on. But you could in